It is 12 noon, Farmer Jack savings time. And welcome to LA2M. Welcome. My name is Derek Marabon, CEO of Ingenix Digital Marketing, and I'm up here with Stacy Collett of Dogville Printing. And this is LA2M, formerly known as Lunch Ann Arbor Marketing. Why? Because we talk about marketing, we meet over lunch, but we did shorten the brand. Curious, how many of you are here for your very first LA2M? Any first timers? Okay. Welcome, welcome. You know, it's interesting. We bring in great speakers who are interesting to different people, and they come out. So thank you for being here. We do meet every Wednesday, so come join us. Thanks, Roger. We do meet every Wednesday, except July and August we actually take off. So we will be off for the summer, but we meet every Wednesday. Find us on LinkedIn, find us on Facebook. We have a Twitter, and Shane and Tyler are going to be tweeting from the back for LA2M. So follow the LA2M hashtag, and you can tweet along too. Great? Great. Okay. Active crowd today. Active. So anyways, LA2M. Roger just turned down the air conditioner because it gives a hum. So LA2M is live streamed. So we live stream this program. People all around the world are watching right now, and especially in Iceland. Lincoln is a very big brand in Iceland, so they're watching. Hello, Icelandic people. And so if you can't make it, you can watch on the live stream, or you can come. It's more fun to come. If you want lunch, it's $10. That's a great deal. They have vegetarian choices, and I'm vegetarian. LA2M is a 501c3 nonprofit. So we're an educational group, and we provide what I would consider free programming. It's free to come. You can deadhead it and just show up. Mostly deadhead it. Or you can chip in, okay? So we pass the hat. So we're old school. We're very old school. Stacy's our treasurer. And we've been doing this for 6 years? 6 years now. So we fund ourselves by passing the hat. So if you can throw a 5 in the hat, we'd love you for it. If you don't have a 5, you can throw a buck in or whatever. This helps pay our hard costs, which we do have some hard costs. We're all volunteer. We have one employee. Mary Olds is our employee because there's just too much work to do. But people like E. Carter's always here to take pictures. I'm always here to run it. Jim Usio ran the programs for me the last few weeks. Thanks, Jim. Roger Rail volunteers. So we all kind of volunteer to do our own thing. So thank you, Stacy, for doing that. And real quick, on your tables, you'll see a couple things. There is the LA2M card, in case if you have a friend that you think would be interested in this, you can bring this LA2M card and it gives them information. And the other thing is sponsor packages. So again, Dogville Printing, Stacy printed these up as part of their sponsorship. And on the sponsor packages next year, we're really looking to get annual sponsors, and the value is incredible. We're going to be redoing the website. There's going to be, you're going to have a sponsor page on the website. So la2m.org/your brand name. It'll have information about you. It could have a contact form. These work great. We're also going to be blogging about you, which is good for your SEO. We're going to post on social about you. And we have a meetup page. If anyone follows meetup.com, I think some of you might have heard about us from Meetup. That's been bringing in some people. We have a meetup page, and you're going to have a profile there on our page. So please look at the sponsor packages. And if you're interested, you can fill out the information, hand it to myself or Mary Lou. I do feel the sponsors are great value. And speaking of sponsors, this month, you also see a beautiful magazine on your tables. This magazine is called the LA2M magazine, which gets distribution in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. So it's targeting smart people and opinionated people and people that like the arts. And Myra is the founder, and she's going to talk about the LA2M as part of her sponsorship.
Hello. Yes, the LA2M was started our sponsorship last week, but Jim, my partner, was busy designing the magazine. Kyle was busy trying to corral the reporter to do the final edits on the magazine, the story that had to get to the printer on Thursday, and I was at a photo shoot. So we were all pulling our hair out, basically. I have the May issue here with me. It is the Ode to Spring. Next month we are doing an investigative piece on the courts, which I think will lose us some fans in some circles, I'm told. The LA2M is a monthly news magazine, and we are inserted into Washtenaw County readers of the New York Current, the Wall Street Journal, and the Ann Arbor News. We do have a website which translates to all devices, I'm told. I don't do it real well, but we can be found online also. Facebook and all that kind of stuff. We have our big thing that we got coming up is the collaboration we have with Think Local First. This is a Washtenaw County Indie Awards for businesses in Washtenaw County. So please go online at thinklocalfirst.net and nominate a business. We have judges from the community, and the awards will go out in June, and there will be a full spread in the magazine. The July issue is all about local entrepreneurs and businesses. So please nominate businesses and join the fun.
Thank you, Myra. All right, thank you, Dan Magazine. I hope you all take a look, and it's a great opportunity for advertising or just something good to read. So, without further ado, just to give you an idea of format, speaker talks for approximately 30 minutes. We may have time for Q&A. And at 12:45, everyone will have the chance to introduce themselves. We always like people to be able to introduce themselves because a lot of people make connections in here. People find business in here. So anyways, you will get a chance to introduce yourself, and then we finish at 1 p.m. Sound good? Any questions? Okay, very good. So without further ado, this guy, Dan Brady, he runs consumer marketing at LinkedIn. LinkedIn? Sorry, that's really embarrassing.
That is for you.
Yeah. Oh, where's the t-shirt? Hey, do you guys have a t-shirt in that bag? Forgot to grab the t-shirt. We have a t-shirt for you. Let's run that up here. Shane is going to run that down. We'll get a quick picture. But anyway, so Dan's a great guy. He's a local guy, and I've known him. He's very involved in cool things like Peace Neighborhood Center. And you want to give that to the speaker? Let's get a picture. Shane, get in the picture with him. There we go. Yeah, smile real quick. All right. Anyways, thank you, Shane. Shane is an Eugenics intern. He's a student at Michigan State University. But so Dan does Peace Neighborhood Center. He's been on the board there. He's worked at cool companies like New Step. But he's been with Lincoln, which is not Lincoln Mercury. It's the Lincoln Motor Company, and they are doing really, really cool stuff. Anybody watch Mad Men? Lincoln does some really cool stuff. And they make wonderful cars. And Dan's a wonderful guy. So let's give him a big round of applause. Welcome Dan Brady.
Thanks, Eric. Is this on? Is it working? Can you hear me? We'll see, I guess. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Before I was with Ford, that's right, I have to stay behind. I have to stay in the light, so I will stay as far away from you as possible. I'm sorry, Roger, it only took less than a minute for me to violate that. I apologize. When I lived and worked in Ann Arbor before I went to Ford Motor Company, I came here a lot. So I really appreciate what Derek and all the team that run this organization. It was really beneficial just for education, but meeting a lot of great people and networking. So I'm glad to be here as a speaker, and I really appreciate it. So I'm going to start with our latest spot that we're going to try and run, and I want to see if you think that we're going to be on the mark with this.
Black Cadillac, please. Right away, sir. Excuse me. I believe that's my deal. Today it's not easy to distinguish yourself from the crowd. Is this my Cadillac? Oh, it's an Oldsmobile. I think that is the No, that is Cadillac. Lincoln Town Car, please. Yes, sir. Lincoln builds luxury automobiles with uncompromised individuality. So whether you choose the spaciousness and comfort of the Lincoln Town Car, the style, sophistication, and grace of the Lincoln Continental, or the driving exhilaration of the Lincoln Mark 7, you'll have the satisfaction of knowing that there's nothing like a Lincoln. Lincoln, what a luxury car should be.
All right, so are we going to be on the mark with that spot or what? All right, how many people still think that that's what Lincoln is? To some extent. Or have friends that think that that's what the Lincoln Motor Company is, certainly. That that's who our customers, that that's what our vehicles are like, that that's the kind of advertising communications that we do. Our job now is to change that. So a while ago, a couple years ago, more recently in the past year or two, the company has decided to reinvent and reinvest in the Lincoln Motor Company. You'll notice we call it the Lincoln Motor Company, not Lincoln. That's part of that reinvestment. To try and elevate its status in the luxury automobile space. So what I want to do is walk you through kind of the breadth of what this reinvention entails. From product and quality to the type of service that we're looking to provide, because it's a very detailed, complex business. Owning a car is a long-term and very heavy investment, and in the luxury space it's even more difficult and challenging to compete effectively, and that's what we're trying to do better than we've done in the past. So I want to walk you through some of that. But setting the stage, 231,000 just after this ad ran. So maybe this was that spot. Maybe that is good advertising. Who knows? In 1984, Lincoln used to be the best-selling luxury car in America. Company's a little over 90 years old, founded in 1922. Actually bought by Henry Ford. It was Edsel Ford who wanted Lincoln and wanted a luxury make, and bought it from Henry Leland, who named Lincoln after the president. It is actually named after the president. And for many years, we were the dominant force in luxury automobiles in America. And as you can see, that has changed. That's changed for a number of different reasons. It's changed because there have been a lot of new entries. Acura and Lexus came fresh into the market, in addition to some of the more established players. And we lost our way a little bit as a company. If you recall back in the history of Ford Motor Company, particularly in the 90s, they went on a bit of a buying binge. Aston Martin, Volvo, Land Rover, were all brands, and you can see Jaguar, all brands that the company invested in and bought, and invested in over and more so than Lincoln. And so the product portfolio became a little stale, and growth stagnated, as you can see. Alan Mulally, and 7 years later, we've divested of those other brands, and we're reinventing and reinvesting again in Lincoln, labeling it as the Lincoln Motor Company. Ford Motor Company has two brands now. It has the Blue Oval, and it has Lincoln. So we are building out a product team, marketing, sales, and service team where I am, a field team, and expanding globally. And that's what I want to walk you through a little bit of what we're doing. We get asked a lot, is a luxury brand important? Should Ford have a luxury brand? The Ford brand does really well. Is it even a bother? Well, if you can see here, look at the chart on the right versus the chart on the left, and that green represents profit. And the profit on the right are companies of what luxury brands contribute to an automotive company. So first and foremost, they make more money. They have higher margins. They bring in higher, more wealthier customers. So you need it to be competitive as an OEM, as a manufacturer in the automotive space. You need a thriving luxury brand. And if you look at everyone else, everyone generally does. Obviously, Mercedes and BMW, they have some smaller brands. Toyota and Lexus, Volkswagen and Audi, Honda and Acura, Infiniti, Nissan and Infiniti. They're all shared companies and shared platforms and shared resources to some extent. It's important. It's also important to have a ladder for a mainstream customer and a Ford to aspire to. Someone who may buy an F-150 will likely have a second vehicle in their garage. We'd like that to be a Lincoln. Someone who started with a Focus and then may move to a Taurus may want to move to an MKZ or an MKX or a Navigator as their family grows, as their wealth grows, or their needs change. So it's important to have a step-up brand for the company and a destination. It's also important globally. If you look at the chart on the right, it's showing growth for the premium industry globally. And what you're seeing is China. China is taking off not just in every other industry, frankly, and not just in the mainstream business, but in the luxury industry. And there's projections that it will be the largest premium vehicle market in the world. So in order to be a thriving luxury brand, you have to be a thriving brand globally. Mercedes, BMW, and Audi do that really well. Some of the other brands not as well. Lexus and Acura were largely U.S. brands that are trying to expand. We have largely had a footprint here in the United States, and we're changing that. We're changing that now. And you can see that in the volume with BMW, Audi, and Volkswagen. So if you want to get to that profit pie, that big 25% contribution to the company's profits, you have to expand globally. And that's what we're interested in doing, and we just announced that in China. You'll also notice what the mix is globally. Audi has done a good job of turning their brand around. They're a good story to look at if you're looking for a brand that's done a turnaround. They've done it largely through product and good branding. But this market represents only 12% of their sales in the U.S. We're a small piece of their total business. And compare that to Lincoln, compare that to Cadillac, and compare that even to Lexus, you know, how reliant we are on the US and how much opportunity we're missing as a brand. So part of this reinvention for us is not just this market and getting back to where we were here. It's what it means for us to expand and grow globally, and what that means, what we can do with product and investment back in. Because if we can add a Chinese market that adds a lot of investment for a company, and we can reinvest in products that will sell here. But there's a lot of things that need to be done, and these are a couple of things I want to walk through as part of our reinvention for Lincoln. And first of that is a distinctive brand. We are where you think we would be. You know, we're pretty honest with ourselves about where the brand is. That 1984, commercial 1984, is not far off from what the perception is and what the performance has been up until the last recent year or two. We're in this kind of classic conservative space. And that there's a lot of great traditional customers in there, but that's not growth. Growth is in a different area where you can see where Audi, BMW, and even where Cadillac has tried to push in their reinvention, which has been taking place now for about a decade. It takes a long time in the automotive industry. We do a lot of time. We're educating people on how long it takes. Product cycles are very long. You know, for us to do a complete refresh of our showroom will take 5 to 6 years to get one turn. Usually it's 2 or 3 turns in an investment in a luxury brand that it takes to turn around. So we're trying to move that needle. So part of that process for us started with, what do we want to be? And what do we want to represent? What can we do that's going to be different? A lot of the luxury manufacturers do a lot of the same stuff. Audi and BMW compete kind of for this performance, edginess a little bit. Mercedes is a little more traditional, classic luxury. They're trying to redefine that. Cadillac's trying to be real edgy. Lexus a little more traditional. So what we did, we dug deep into our data and we dug deep into buyers and we tried to identify what's important to them. A, what are the things that you must have? And then where are some white space opportunities that we can compete and that we can define and change the experience that someone has with a luxury automobile. The first 2 are the obvious, so look to the right, and we call these our brand pillars. Ford, the Blue Oval, did its own brand pillars when it started its reinvention several years ago. Quality, green, safe, and smart. Those of you in the industry may have heard that. For Lincoln, it's quality, design, and personal service. The first 2 you have to have. They're top 3 purchase reasons for any customer buying a luxury automobile. They obviously expect top shelf quality. And that includes craftsmanship, it includes technology ease, all of those types of things. If you don't have great quality, you're not going to compete very effectively. And design, you need stunning design. Those are the givens in the space. Those are kind of the points of entry. What we found in our research is there's this white space in what we call personal service. Great dealership experience, personalizing your vehicle, unique way to shop and buy for a vehicle, which a lot of people still find painful, no matter how good the dealership is or how nice the coffee is that they serve. So we're trying to move into this space of personal service and a whole series of initiatives that we have with the brand that are part of moving into that space, and that's an area for us to try and differentiate what we're doing. So it's not just about the product, and it's not just about good advertising and communication, but it's about when that client touches us, and the first point that they're interested throughout their buy process and through their years of ownership, making sure that it's such a good process that the thought of leaving is painful. It'll take us a while to do what we'd like to do, but we're in process with doing that. But our situation is a challenge. So we measure internally, one of the important metrics for us we call favorable opinion. It's what people think of your brand. It's brand perception. And that the little red circle shows our favorable opinion currently. The number is a 43, but just compare it straight across the board to the others. And you'll see that theirs is really wide and ours is not really wide. And that's the challenge that we have as a brand, is that the opinion of the brand is not very high. And when people do have an opinion of it, it is what we don't want it necessarily to be. Traditional, classic, older vehicles, out-of-date styling, etc., those traditional perceptions. It'll take us years to overcome that, and it takes consistent execution, but that's the challenge that we have, is to make that 43 something a lot bigger than that so that we can grow our customer base, gain a higher price. We track that directly to your pricing power. The higher the perception, the higher the pricing power. I mentioned China, and this is really interesting. So we just announced that we're going to enter China. We'll be entering there in the fall. And I'll show you a video of the dealerships and how completely different you can do it when you start from scratch. It's incredible. Look at that brand perception. We don't sell any cars in China. We've never officially sold cars in China. You can buy a Lincoln on the gray market. They do sell those somewhere. You'll see them around there. People in China associate the brand with Nixon when he was the first U.S. president in many years to visit China. He came in a Lincoln. He flew his motorcade over and they drove Lincolns. So, but look at the strength of that brand before we've invested $1 formally in the country. It's 30 points higher than it is here, where we've been for 91 years, designed and sold some of the most memorable vehicles this country has ever seen. So, launching in China for us, ironically, particularly if we get it right and the product is good, we're going to start off with a better foot than our reinvention here, where we have 90 years of history. I find that really, really fascinating. So this is our pursuit of differentiating the brand, moving into this space of quality, design, and personal service, and making that evident throughout everything we do, from the product and the experience to the communications that we put out. And you can see that, and we'll talk a little bit about some of that. Product, you're going nowhere without product. It's just a fact, particularly in this business. You can get away with things for a little while in some industries, but if your product isn't great, you're not going to get very far in the automotive business. It's just a fact. So for us, what that meant was reinventing the entire portfolio. So we are on a venture now where we're going to invest in 4 all-new platforms, 4 all-new products in 4 years. That started for us with the vehicle in the upper left, the MKZ, which is a mid-sized sedan. It launched last year. We've had good success with it. It's been in the market for the most part about a year. We're going to follow that up with this vehicle here in the upper right, a small crossover, the MKC. And yes, we're sticking with the MKs for now. It's sticking. I know I'll get that question. I can explain it. See that, Jay? The MKC is a small crossover. It's a small utility. It's a brand new vehicle for us. So it's not us replacing one nameplate with another or just updating a new vehicle. It's a brand new vehicle, which for us is important because we're targeting in this reinvention, we're targeting volume. We need to get, our dealer body needs to be healthy. So to do that, we need volume segments, volume vehicles in the premium space. And that's what we're attacking. We'll have a refreshed Navigator, which was a surprise in this 4 in 4 years, as well as a black label. I'll show you a little bit of that. And then we're going to launch a new product, an updated product, which we've unveiled a concept for, the MKX, next year. And then I'll leave the 4th one to your imagination. So that's the pillar of our effort first. And it starts with that product being truly, truly differentiated from our mainstream brand, as well as unique against other competitors in the space. And that's critical for us. We want to make sure that when you get in and feel and see that car, that it is distinctively a Lincoln. It's not confused with anything else. And so the MKZ started that process. The MKC will continue it. And then we'll continue from there. It also means doing something unique as well, not just kind of the core product. We have a new level coming out at the end of the year called Black Label. It'll be a differentiated, higher level of expression of the Lincoln brand on the vehicle, upgraded materials and content, as well as a different ownership experience. They'll have a Black Label customer, will shop differently. They'll shop in-home with a visit from a stylist. They'll pick out their leathers and their materials from a portfolio. They'll have a vehicle personally delivered to them, and their ownership experience will have extra benefits and privileges with it as well. And we're going to launch that on all our new products. So go back to the pillars of quality, design, and personal service, and this is a clear expression of those pillars. Quality in the materials. There's going to be Alcantara suede wrapped in these vehicles, and some of the highest materials of ingrained woods that you can find. Design, they're going to be unique. We have 4 different themes that we'll launch. They're curated themes by our designers. And then personal service, so the way you shop and own the vehicle will be different. So it's important for us to take those pillars, not just write them down, but then emanate those throughout the product portfolio and what we provide to a client and what we provide to a new client, which is important for us. So client experience, I talked about, we talked about that client experience, that personal service, and there's a lot of investment that we're putting into this space. A lot of it you don't see. You won't see it in a commercial perhaps, but hopefully if you shop at Lincoln, you'll feel and see it there. Good dealership service and experience is important, is that white space opportunity that we saw. Where there are some that do it fine, there are some lovely, beautiful facilities out there. Our dealers have some, other manufacturers have them. But no one really has a great buying experience. So we're trying to make that as seamless and as personalized as possible. One of the challenges we have, the blue bars represent, for our competitors, how much of their showroom is dedicated to their luxury brand. So obviously BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, what that means is there aren't a lot of Toyota and Lexus stores together. They're completely separated. So there's no confusion for a customer between the two. Whereas us, on the left, well, a lot of our stores, most of our stores, share a showroom with a Ford dealership, with a Ford brand. And so that opportunity for a luxury customer who comes in and has a different expectation and is paying more for their vehicle, for us, it's critical that we provide them a differentiated experience, not just where we own the whole store, but in what we call a dual environment. So think about how challenging that is for a brand. I've got one over here that costs $10,000 more, and I got one over here. So we have to make the products unique and separate, and we're doing that. But our dealership personnel, our dealers have to invest to separate and distinguish those brands at the retail level so your experience is differentiated. Maybe still in the same facility for some, but that experience needs to be unique. Your scheduling needs to be different. Your delivery situation needs to be handled differently. Everything needs to be handled differently for a luxury customer in order to really differentiate and command the premium. Because you're trying to command a premium over the mainstream brand. That's why you buy a luxury brand. You're buying that brand, and you're buying the different experience and the materials and the product. So it's a challenge for us. It's not one that you think about all the time, but it is a real challenge and opportunity for us. It also means we have 900 or more than 900 stores for Lincoln. Mercedes, BMW, Lexus, they're in the 300s. So we have 3 times as many stores as they have. So a lot of duals. It also provides, I think, service opportunities. You get your vehicle service a lot more places, and I think that's a benefit. So we have a whole series of initiatives. You can look on the left for training our teams. And I'll point out just 1 or 2 of them. So Lincoln Academy is the second one there. We've partnered with LA2M. If you're familiar with LA2M, they train all the high-end hotels, Concierge, in personal service, how to treat and handle a customer. We've developed a curriculum for our dealership personnel, right down to the person that you greet in the door. Not just the dealers who owns the store or a sales manager or management, but every customer that has every dealership employee that touches a customer. Our goal is to get them through an intensive training with LA2M through our Lincoln Academy in a luxury environment to educate and inform them how you treat and deal with a luxury customer. So that experience you get when you walk into a Four Seasons or a Ritz-Carlton, or you walk into a Tiffany or any other great retail environment, we want our stores to be able to deliver that. From the ambience that they provide, to the personal service, to remembering your name, all of those touch points. But it takes time to train them and develop it, and investment from our dealers. And then Concierge, I'll point that one out, kind of that 4th or 5th one down. In your shopping process, we have a 24/7 Concierge. You can talk online, you can call them, and they will handle you from start to finish. So you don't get transferred off. If you have a question, if you're shopping for a vehicle, they'll warm transfer you to the dealership and they'll follow up on your experience. So it's a nice, easy way. It's a first touch point into the brand if you don't want to get in touch with a sales consultant in a store because you're not that far into your process yet. And then a series of others to try and change this, again, this personal service pillar of the brand that we're trying to streamline throughout our dealerships, but also in the shopping and buying process. And there's years to go on some of those things. Compare that to China. So we have 900 plus stores, 2/3 of them are dualed with the mainstream brand. Well, China has none. So we're going to invest in 7 cities, 8 dealers, and they'll be completely brand new. Brand new facilities, brand new staffing, brand new dealers. So the ability to take those personal service elements that we want for the brand, imagine what you can do in China, in a new country, wherever it is. It's going to be China for us now. And what that looks like for a client. And I'll give you a sample of what that looks like in a brand video that we have as part of our
opens.
China launch.
They greet you by name, no matter how long it's been. You are listened to, understood. Your needs are attended to before you are even aware of them. And if you feel like the most important person in the room, that's because you are. It's exactly what you'd expect from a 5-star hotel or your favorite restaurant. But is it what you'd expect from a car company? It will be soon. Because this fall, Lincoln is coming to China. And it's 100-year history.
So that clip just shows a little bit of what we're doing in China, but also the art of the possible, of how personalized the car buying and ownership experience should be. Think about it. The vehicle is likely for most people the second most expensive purchase they make behind their home. It's probably your second most expensive monthly payment. You get student debt or some things like that. So shouldn't you have an experience like that when you purchase the car and own a vehicle? The thing goes over 100 miles an hour. It transports your family. You should have a personalized, customized experience at every touch point where you feel valued and you feel recognized for what you've invested in the product. All right, I'm going to whip through a couple things and some other points so I get to the end because we're getting to touch on time. Quality, so that pillar of quality, you have to have it. It has to be top shelf. We have some work to do. We're not shy about that. You can see where we are versus some of our competitors. But we're making progress. Our first product out of the gate, MKZ last year, won J.D. Power's Appeal Award in its segment. J.D. Power Appeal is a combination of all the factors that go into a vehicle from a customer's evaluation. Design, quality, experience, driving performance, etc. So our first product beat out Audi, beat out Mercedes, beat out BMW, and our next product is better. That MKC will be better in that segment than MKZ is, and MKZ is great. But our products are only going to get that much better. Every successive one that we launch, we're going to be that much better. And then finally, differentiated marketing and communications. And I'll show one. This is a real ad.
This is the story of a company. Born of a time when craft was king. When we took risks and broke rules. This was how Edson Ford said hello to the luxury car. My father makes the most popular cars in the world, he said. I want to make the best cars in the world. And he went on to build distinctive automobiles driven by the most celebrated characters of their time. Now, we're saying hello again. With a new generation of vehicles built for individuals. To stir the imagination of drivers who embrace the unexpected. It's a story over 90 years in the making. And with fresh eyes, we're giving it a second look. How will you say hello again at Lincoln.com?
So we ran that in the Grammys and compared that to the first ad. And you can see just visually and language and tone and people where we want this brand to go and to be. And where we're pushing it to go and to be. You also saw from a product perspective, there will be a lot of family resemblance in our product. Split wing grille, full LED with rear headlamps, twin turbo boost engines, as well as some other items. So there's going to be a consistency in some of the product treatments that we see. So our target customer, we call them cultural progressives internally, progressives. We estimate them to be about 23% of the luxury industry. You can imagine some of the others. We've got some other funny names for people. No Fun Phils is one. Warren Buffett was the representation for that. Alpha males or alpha dogs are a little space. They buy They buy other products. We won't talk about that. But we like these progressives, and here's why. They're looking for new experiences, and they're open to other brands. They're looking for something a little different, a little unique. I don't want to say niche, but something unique, and they're open. They're open to experimenting a bit. They're up and coming in their careers and professions. And we feel like we can resonate because our heritage allows us to do that, because there's a lot of legitimacy and strength in the heritage, as well as the segments that we're entering, and the opportunity to revoice the brand. So that's where we're going with it. And then, as part of our marketing communications, and I know this is what most of us do here, so I'll touch on kind of each of these elements, and we'll go to Q&A. Here are some of the things that we don't want to forget our existing customers. We have a wonderful customer base, and we rely on them on our products now. But they're still buying more than half of our Z's, or about half. We love that. But the reality is, to grow the brand, we need more people. In order for us to push our competitors, we have to be more bodies in the door, and those are the progressives that we're going after. So it started with introducing the new Lincoln. We did an introduction last year with the Super Bowl and in the spring. We updated the logo, just a subtle change from our design team. You'll notice the tips of the star were removed to be a little more subtle. And we introduced the Lincoln Motor Company to separate and distinguish the brand apart. We are defining our own space and voice. So similar to what we did on the product side, quality and design you have to be in. Personal service, we think there's some opportunity to really differentiate and lead. As well as in our marketing communications, where will we play? Where will we stake some dollars in investment to reach the customer, to reach our customers, communicate and associate ourselves as a brand? A lot of these spaces are full. Sports is pretty heavy. Tennis, golf are pretty traditional. Fashion is pretty dominated by some. So we've started building relationships in design, music and film, and thought. Thought leadership. And thought leadership. In addition to the large market, mass media, in-market media, those types of things. Those are kind of givens, if you will. We've done a lot on music and film. Big expansions with Grammys. You see a picture of Aloe Black there. We did an execution last year with Beck that won a Webby. The Aloe Black execution that we did, if you've seen it, if not, we'll distribute it out. Really, really cool, really, really unique. Drove that through YouTube and through the Grammys, building a partnership with him. That's the music piece. Thought leadership with Ted, and some others. It's also connecting with our target. That's our current customer and our new customer we want to reach. We do a lot of test drives. We need to get people in the car. So our goal this year is 125,000 test drives. So we invest heavily in getting vehicles out and getting people to touch them and drive them. If anybody has a charity, Driven to Give is our charity. Partner with a dealership. Company will bring vehicles to the charity site. We'll bring dealership staffing. Give you $20 a test drive for anybody that takes it, up to $8,000. So if you got a charity, honestly, call me. We'll do 70,000, 80,000 test drives through that this year. Hundreds of charities we'll touch. But we have to get people in the product. Because to break that perception of what it is, you can have great ads, but in order for someone to spend $40, $50, $60, $70,000, you got to touch and feel it. And the product is now worth touching and feeling more than it was in the past. Social media. Huge growth for us in social media. We invest largely in Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, I think Vimeo and one other. We have a brand publishing lab with our ad agency in New York that we're very active with. We do twice weekly calls with them on content and monitoring. We respond live time to people. If you posted something on one of our sites and you have a question, we will respond directly to it and we'll take care of it for you. Personal service. And then a new agency. So part of our broader group, Team Detroit, we founded a new agency year and a half ago. Took a while to get a name, but Hudson Rouge, after the Hudson River, the Rouge River. I thought that was clever. They're based in New York, and we have shared resources with Team Detroit here in Dearborn, which is across the street from us. So it's just a touch on reinventing a brand. We've had some good successes. We've had some stumbles. That's to be expected. But we feel like we're at the point we're in right on the edge of 12 months of product launches, 4 launches of new brands, new products, new expressions, whatever it might be. That'll really transform our showroom, and we think transform people's perceptions of the brand, because it comes down to product and then what you execute on the back end, on how you buy the car, how you shop for it, and how you own the vehicle from there. And then these are shots here of our MKX, yes, another MK, concept, which will be replace our MKX at some point in the showroom. We haven't announced anything official on that, so it's just a concept for now. But you can see how it's pretty cool. It's really cool. So that's a whip through a little bit of the Lincoln Motor Company and our story. And we really appreciate the time, and thank Derek and the team for all the great work that you do getting everybody together.
So we do have a few minutes for questions.
Two questions. In China, Buick is the mark, and you don't have that on your display, so I don't understand how you can miss that part of the segment.
Yep.
And 2, how are you going to control the rapid depreciation of your product? Because that certain segment or brands within the luxury segment hold their value far better than others, and Lincoln traditionally has it's the pits from a depreciation standpoint.
You're right on Buick. Yeah, Buick's a big player in China. It was actually, when GM was going through its struggles, it was one of the discussion points. They were looking, Buick was one of those brands that was on the edge, and it was China, ultimately, because of the volume that they provide. And for our brand, that's important because that volume helps support the rest of the investment into the brand. And China volume will help us invest in new products that will benefit our American customers, our customers in the Middle East and elsewhere. We didn't omit them for any particular reason. It's just there's only so many people you can fit on a slide. And we're looking kind of at our core luxury competitors, so no purposeful omission on that. Your question is a good one. Your point is on what we call residual values. It's the resale value of the vehicle. That slide, that favorable opinion, that's a big piece for us to raising residual values. When you can raise the perception and the value of the brand, pricing power comes with it. That allows you to retain more of the value of the car as it goes through after its first ownership cycle, whether that be buying at the dealership as a certified pre-owned, or eventually buying at an auction. We have a whole series of work streams on residual values, from quality through to the brand work, as well as our incentives, because they have a high impact on residual values. So yes, it's a lot of work. We could do a whole deck on that one. It wouldn't be very fun, but we could.
So I was curious if you've got an electric car strategy come along. I've got a relative that very wealthy, clearly fits into your demographic and your description of what you're looking for, who went out and bought a Tesla.
Yeah.
Because she was a risk taker, she wanted to try something new.
Yep, it's a good question. So our first vehicle as part of the reinvention, the MKZ, has a hybrid. And one of the choices that we made was to price them the same. We put them at the same MSRP, which is really different. If you ever bought a hybrid or shop for a hybrid, they're usually about $3,000 to $5,000 more just for the hybrid alone. We're selling now about 30% to 40%, depending on the month, mix of hybrids. And it actually conquests. It conquests about 60%. So we bring in a lot of new people with the hybrid, people like your friend that you referenced. So we're very pleased with it. The payments are the same on the hybrid, so people get a real good choice. I'm not going to disclose kind of what our future cycle looks like, but I will say that hybrid has raised our awareness and attention. We doubled our capacity on hybrids late last year to catch up with demand. So yeah, it's certainly a space that we're interested in. We haven't made any announcement on electric vehicles or anything like that, but the hybrid for the MKZ is really important.
So Dan, we have time for one more quick question, because it is 12:44.5, but here we go.
Okay, we didn't have. So I noticed that you have like kind of the small business hometown feel to your commercials and your new strategy. When big businesses do that, sometimes it can feel inauthentic to customers. How do you train your personnel to come from a good place, or so they're not there?
Well, think about it. When you buy a car, largely, is from an independently owned local business. Ceci Lincoln out on Jackson, Joe Ceci owns Ceci Lincoln. He's a local guy, lives in Ann Arbor, goes to Michigan games, and so our first face of the customer, the first interaction that people have tangibly is at the dealership level, and those are largely for us, largely locally owned businesses. They really are, and they invest heavily in communities, as well as some of the other ones. The Driven to Give piece is a way for us to reach and touch people. And then allowing people to do what they want with the brand, what they feel, and personalize the vehicle, whether it's the type of content or the technology that it brings in. It really personalizes and, I guess in a way, just localizes it for them. But it's a good question. But for us, it's a dealership. It's our local retailers that we're training and working with, and they're teaching us a lot about how to treat a luxury customer, because we can learn as much from them as we can bring to them. So, thank you.
Great talk, Dan. I can see why Dan works the Lincoln. He's a good guy, right? Let's give him another round of applause. And sorry to get everyone's questions. Please come up and talk to Dan afterwards. I can say personally, as far as the new Lincoln, I've driven the MKT, love it, one of the best family cars, and it comes with the EcoBoost, which is so fast. So I like the speed, I'm not like the slow kind of guy. But and also I love the MKC. It actually looks a lot like the Range Rover hybrid. So I'm really excited about the MKC. I see him on the road. But anyways, enough about that. So now we get a chance to introduce ourselves, or you get a chance to introduce yourself. And it's amazing because we get all the way around the room in 13 minutes, which I'm pretty confident we can do. So just give us your name, your company, and real brief if you want to say something, pass the mic, and we'll get all the way around the room. And we'll start right up here in the front.
I'm Fred Sauer with Scientific Stress Management. There's a whole new technology out there which can not just reduce the stress, but improve your performance, your creativity, and your joy of life. Having fun.
Solomon Mahmoud, Eastern Michigan University. Jay Jordan, Internet 2, doing web development.
Hi, I'm Jamie Scher from the Office of Undergraduate Admissions at the University of Michigan, part of the marketing team.
Hi, I'm Diane Majeski. I'm also from the University of Michigan, Office of Undergraduate Admissions. Hi, I'm Michelle Rogers. I'm formerly with Digital First Media, and I was Community Engagement Director and head of their cultural training across Michigan, looking for new job opportunities.
Debbie Laban, we own Laban Lift Straps, specialty manufacturer of specialty straps for patient lifts, allowing one person to do safe and secure limb suspension.
Tina Walter for Innovative Marketing, finding tools for my clients to build loyalty with them.
Travis Nance, intern of Rapport Marketing and attending Bowling Green State University.
Hi everybody, my name is Jim Musial, and I have a company that helps companies launch and reintroduce brands to the use of web and mobile development. So if your company needs a fresh look to web and mobile, I'd love to talk to you.
Hi everybody, I'm Stacy from Dollar Bill, your local digital print shop. They do things fast and cost effective.
Hi everybody, Jason Schnabel. I'm a marketing coordinator and graphic designer for Metal Art Builders, a local green builder.
Jim McBee, partner in the AM magazine, and I'm in charge of the design for it, and I'm also responsible for getting our digital presence off the ground.
Hi, I'm Michelle Kryzak. I'm an independent art director designer in the Ann Arbor area.
Hello, I'm Pat Malone. I own a marketing consulting firm called Malone Works Marketing, and I work with market planning and integrated marketing with clients. And I live in Brighton.
Hi, I'm Todd White. I'm a senior engineer, software engineer at the University of Michigan. Also a former Hope College student with Dan. So if anybody needs any funny stories on Dan, see me offline.
That's equal for Todd.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan. Great talk.
My name is Leslie McGraw, and I'm with Let's Go Social, and I help small businesses and new authors. I know they're kind of polar, but they actually have some of the same needs, and I help them get a digital presence and talk with and not at their customers.
Hi, I'm Peggy Backley with LA2M May.
Hi, I'm Steve Corey. I'm a senior at Michigan State University, and currently I'm an intern under Derek at Enginex.
Hi, I'm Tyler Trill. I'm also a digital marketing intern with Derek over at Enginex, and I'm also senior at Michigan State. Go away.
Hi, I'm Bob Ferrand, and I am Bob Ferrand Photography, and I'm an advertising and commercial photographer, and also offering new service aerial photography. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Jones. I'm the copy chief at Reinventing magazine in Ann Arbor.
Hi, my name is Keith Carlson. I'm an information architect at Wellness Intervention here in Ann Arbor.
I'm Mike Brooks, and I just want to make a quick pitch for the new enterprise forum, the NEF. I don't know how many of you heard of that, but having our monthly NEF meeting at Spark tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, where they'll be doing a pitch pit, which is kind of like a Shark Tank kind of a thing, and also a showcase presentation by a up-and-coming startup company here in the area. Encourage you to come if you've got interest in entrepreneurs and serving them or in being one. Stop by the NEF, and I'll be here afterwards if you want to ask more questions about that.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Sickles, and I am the marketing manager for Asahi Glass.
I'm Bob Shannon. I have a CPA firm in the Ann Arbor, Chelsea area, specializing in helping small businesses, high-tech startups with their accounting, business planning, cash flow planning, and I'm also a transportation consultant.
Hi, I'm Deborah Ackridge. I'm with the United Way, Washington County. Coming up on June 20th is National Day of Action, so if you want to get dirty and go out and help nonprofits, go to our website, uwwashnow.org, and you can find out more about it.
Charlie Boxall. I'm from Northwest Ohio, south of Toledo. It's my first time here. I'm a U of M graduate. I'm a self-employed attorney, CPA. A lot of work in M&A, and also I'm a college professor. Great program here today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Mark Arjun with Diversified Heating and Cooling, residential and commercial mechanical contractor. I help building owners and homeowners who are frustrated with their current level of service.
I'm Bruce, and I'm with Bruce Scientific, and I handle marketing and design.
I'm Roger Rail. I'm a venture catalyst, and I help with a lot of the networking communities, help people make their ideas work, get people together. Dan, I think you need a car that knows how to avoid potholes.
Good afternoon. My name is Denise Murray. I'm the Director of Marketing and Business Development for Briarwood Mall.
Doug Wood, freelance illustrator and graphic designer.
Hi, I'm Mary Lou with LA2M. Thanks everyone for coming out. We are in the process of working on our speaker lineup for next year. So if you would like to recommend a speaker, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. I'm also a freelance web content writer, and so if you need those services, please let me know as well. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carter Sherlin from Front Studios, and I'm a commercial editorial and portrait photographer, and sometimes video editor, and the images I shoot these meetings go up on the group's Facebook page.
All right, I'm Derek Maribon. I have some great interns. But I run a digital agency focusing on inbound marketing, helping clients reach their goals through lead generation and increasing their traffic and filling their sales funnel. So question, Dan and Brady. You said there's this drive thing for nonprofits and charities. Is LA2M a 501c3? Would we qualify?
Yeah, you would, technically.
Potentially? Yeah. Okay. And then I'm trying to think of, if we were to have this ride and drive event, I'm trying to think of where would be a great place to hold it. Maybe Briarwood Mall?
She wrote that.
Wouldn't be bad. So then I'm wondering, if we did something like that, would you guys, I mean, you know, if we could make $20 per test drive, would you guys maybe try and come out and test drive to help us out?
Yeah.
Because LA2M could really, really benefit from that. I love that idea. And we're good at marketing, which means we can fill that.
That's right.
We can fill it. So, okay, so let's plan that. Interns, you got that? These guys are whizzes, man. They're Michigan State seniors, smart guys. And, you know, they help us. Mary Lou helps, but these guys help. They're like the fuel power behind a lot of what happens. So we're going to do that. I think we're going to do that. That'll be great. We'll talk more about it. But anyways, love the program. I haven't been here in a while. It's good to be back. I'm going to miss next week too. And next week, I wouldn't believe who's going to be here. Chad Weebasek from Pure Michigan. So you guys have all seen the Pure Michigan things. Chad just kind of runs on the social media, and you know it's tough to get him because he's on the speaker circuit. They're winning awards nationally for all the social media for Michigan, which is great for the state. I think our tourism really benefits from the work they're doing. So next week he's going to talk all about it. So bring your friends. You know, look at the sponsor cards for next year. We have a great sponsor program. Again, thanks to the AND, support the AND. We always try and support our sponsors because they help support us. So thanks everyone for coming, and have a great week. Help others and make some money in the progress. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for coming. See you.
Wouldn't it be awesome if it would work?
Well, that would be wonderful.